Good evening, it's Corny, and today we're going to see if it is possible to beat Pokémon Leaf Green with our only attacking move being Mimic. Good evening, it's Corny, and today we're going to see if it is possible to beat Pokémon Leaf Green with our only attacking move being Mimic. That's what I just said, you didn't need to repeat me. I didn't repeat you. I didn't repeat you, that's what I just said. But you're watching YouTube. You're watching YouTube. No, I'm playing Pokemon. I'm playing Pokemon. Huh? Why are you copying me? Being Copycat is fun. I will stop copying. I won't stop this ridiculous Pokemon run. Why? Because it's quarantine, we're all bored, locked up, watching countless Bacasbury and mah-dry-bread videos, and it's time somebody else should give it a go. But instead of one of their original Ditto, Zubat, Smeargle, Magikarp, that kind of run, with random Pokemon here and there, how about a single gimmick move run? How about Mimic? What about a single move? What about a gimmick Mimic? You said you'd stop. Okay, I'll stop. But you are right. What about Mimic? You alright? What am I like? Copycat, stop it! Stop it! So instead of your random move like Tackle, Water Gun, what makes Mimic so unique is that it copies the opponent's last move and installs it as your own until the end of the battle, or until you switch out. Which means we have the ability in this run to use every single Pokemon move, except a few, and we'll come on to those. It's a normal type move, but it can be used against ghosts. It has 10 PP, with the Mimic move having 5 PP, so this is where it gets a bit confusing. You've got 10 PP left, you use Mimic Tackle off a Rattata or something, then use Tackle 5 times, don't take it out for some reason, I know 95% accuracy, we've all seen it, we've all been there. I'd have to switch out and then switch back in and my Mimic will have 9 PP left and I'll be able to do that all over again. Unfortunately, I can't use Tackle the turn I Mimic it, so I've got to make sure that my Pokemon's tanky enough to be able to take the Tackle and then use Tackle the turn after. There are 2 Pokemon that learn Mimic through leveling up. You've got Sudowoodo, who has it from birth, which is perfect, it's going to be our starter here, and Jigglypuff, who learns it at level 39. So as soon as we hit Route 3, just before Mount Moon, after the first badge, we're going to catch a Jigglypuff and attempt to level it up by switching it in and out. So now as we know what we're getting into, what about the setup and rules? What are we going to be doing? We're using an emulator on my laptop, so excuse the occasional cursor popping over the screen, along with the universal randomizer, as I was saying, to replace Bulbasaur with Sudowoodo. Most importantly, I'm not going to use any speed up, any in-game battle stage states. We want this to be as genuine as possible, no matter how painful it is going to turn out to be. Anyone can complete a run through doing these. I've actually completed a crystal run through with Magikarp only, with in-game save states, so let me know if you want to see that. We already know the attacking move is going to be Mimic, however non-attacking moves will be allowed as per my discretion. This is so we can stall out until we get hit, so we can use an attacking move, so moves like Taunt and Protect, they are definitely allowed. But I'm not going to sit there and use 6 like bulk ups or anything like that, and then one-shot the whole team. That's just not fun. We can switch out to PP reset, and then we must switch straight back in. No items in battle, of course, except for Pokeballs. As I said, I want this to be genuine and as fulfilling as possible. We're going to need some HM users, that's fine. And the golden rule is, this is my playthrough, these are my rules, so I may need to tweak them ever so slightly if I get stuck at any point, as I'm kind of writing this as I'm playing through it. Now that's all done, let's get onto the copying. We of course start ourselves off in Oak's lab with Nigel, our rival. If you know, you know. My Sudowoodo replacing Bulbasaur means Nige will have a Charizard, unanimously the most powerful Kanto starter, to make this run as tough as possible. Then go on to name our Mimicker after the most durable copier of all time, the HP DeskJet 3630 printer. Our first rival battle is straightforward. All I need is Charmander to use Scratch, and due to DeskJet resisting this with his rock typing, he can use those green balls on his arms to scratch our way to victory in only a few hits. However, I did actually have to reset this battle once due to mimicking Growl and being forced into using Rock Throw. I can't use Rock Throw, that is an instant soft reset. Let's take a look at our printer's stats. A careful nature, which increases special defense and decreases special attack, is fine as it adds to our tank, but I'd have liked to rise in speed or attack as we're much more of a physical attacker. Sturdy is a pointless ability in Gen 3. Grinding off the occasional Pidgey and Rattata, we get the Pokédex and start our Kanto journey. The first milestone on our list is Nigel again, but before we can battle we need to catch a few Pokemon who will allow us to PP reset Mimic once we've run out of power points. We start the battle and get hit with an early tackle, which is great as we can then use it against his Pidgey, who for once refused to sand attack us. This meant Pidgey fainted and we had 0 PP left, so a quick reset with Rattata and it was scratching with those green balls all over again. Yeah, but seriously, how does he do it? You know what? I'm going to start a How the Mimic in the top corner, which will display the most outlandish Mimic that we use to date. Charmander fainted and everything that seems a breeze. There's one mandatory battle in Viridian Forest, and it is not nice. Bugcatcher Sammy and its level 9 Weedle. After mimicking Poison Sting, we hit our first wall. Doing the maths in my head, it looks like it would take at least 10 Poison Stings to take it out. That is 2 Mimic resets, and if I get poisoned, like I do in this attempt, it's game over. But fear not, this is early on. In a new playthrough, after not playing Pokemon in ages, any excuse for a grind and I'm going to croconaw your hand off for it. After a few Pidgeys, we return 2 levels higher, and due to Weedle abusing String Shot and us not getting poisoned early on, we make it to the first PP reset in great shape. We then manage to mimic a Poison Sting, and although we get poisoned, we avoid a PP reset and ease to victory with a critical hit. We now had access to Pewter City, and more importantly, our first gym. Brock leads with the most irritating Geodude imaginable, whose only offensive move is Tackle, which of course, it being a Rock type, resists. But it gets worse. It then spams defense curls. After a few tackles, I'm sure we're just dealing 1 HP. We didn't stand a chance. After nowhere nearly enough grinding, we return and just take out the Geodude, but that leaves us a sitting Psyduck for Onix. We need at least another 5 levels here. In our first grinding session, I made the awful decision of fighting the remaining trainers in the forest, which involves a Metapod, who only knows Harden, a non-attacking move. Instead of resetting, I spam String Shot with a Weedle, and use this as an opportunity to see what would happen if I mimic Struggle. Unfortunately, it fails, so forces a reset and disables a potential interesting strategy. I've watched enough Pokemon videos to know that the audience wants to see the grind. Due to me being faster and having no stalling moves, I could get a max 5 Pokemon before healing as Mimic would run out. Pidgey was my favourite opponent due to it only knowing Tackle. We head back at level 16 and get to Onix with ease. His moveset is more interesting, but his defense is too strong for us to make a dent. The move we beg to mimic here is Bind, as although the weakest, it deals 1/16 every turn, which is more powerful than a Tackle. Due to Bind's trapping ability, if we run out of PP, we can't reset instantly. I bend my rules to no avail in this attempt by using potions to stall. Level 18 and third time we get a beautiful run, coming in on virtually full health, not getting trapped on any reset, with a 5-turn bind for good measure. We finish it off in red health and get our first badge. Now that is what I'm talking about. A quick glance at our trainer card, 641, and that doesn't even include all the soft resets. We now had access to Route 3 and Jigglypuff, but first I get caught in an infuriating battle which involved Infatuation, Sleep, and Defense Curl. This took about 15 minutes, and that was with me finishing off with a crit. We finally get ourselves a Jigglypuff, who we name after DeskJet's main rival, the Canon Pixma MG5205 printer. With Pixma on our side, we are no longer wasting XP on redundant Pokemon, and can get 10 battles before needing to heal. Mount Moon was Eevee, and we made our way to Cerulean City. Being weak to Misty, we try our rival first. Although being sand attacked, we mimic a quick attack and take down Pidgeotto in 3 hits. We then leave Charmander on a Slither, reset and get Metal Claw, which takes him out. It is then a 1-shot for Abra and a 1-shot for Rattata. I expect our rival fights, at least early on, to be fine due to the variety of Pokemon that he has on his team. We gain experience by fighting all the trainers to the north, and get within touching distance of Bill before we hit what can only be described as an Absorbment, a 20 damage, special attacking move which is super effective against DeskJet and Oddish resists. Oh, and it replenishes health. Any damage we deal, Oddish recovers it with Absorb the next turn. Embarrassment. And Oddish, 13 levels our junior, taking us out on full health. Oh muck. Putting Haley on hold, we try Misty, who leads with a Staryu and buffs its defense with Harden, and then smashes a Water Pulse onto us. I tried this battle at least 10 times, and these were the only 2 moves that I saw. It was time for a rethink. Time for a grind. Looking online at Staryu's moveset, I can see that it also knows Tackle. This had to be our way in. I grind for a long time, all the way up to level 31. This is so that we can outspeed Staryu. We then weaken a Rattata to red health and lead the Misty fight with him. This is to bait Staryu into using a Tackle. It works a Trico, as we switch into DeskJet and mimic it. Staryu is dust from here. Starmie outspeeds us and confuses us with Water Pulse, but due to a lucky crit, which we needed, and avoiding confusion twice, we get our second badge. What a strat. Our trainer card tells us we spent a good 10 hours preparing for this fight. No time to celebrate though, as this Misty fight is currently worthless, as getting to Bill unlocks the next leg of our journey, and Lass Haley stands in our way. Unlike Staryu, Oddish only knows Absorb and Sweet Scent, so we needed a new idea. Even if we got all the way to level 50, I don't think Deskjet's poor special attack would take her out. I had a new approach, and as I made the rules, it is allowed. Rule 6 clearly states we are allowed to switch out if we can't stall, and the opponent uses a non-attacking move. So we still mimic and use absorb, but switch at every sweet scent that is thrown our way. This, along with a held Oranberry, means Oddish would struggle its way to fate, with Deskjet still in one piece, and able to take out her other two Pokemon. This took half an hour, but finally, Oddish struggles its way down, and we be right back. Fucking serious? Another skitty Oddish? Compose. Excuse me. Luckily our third Pokemon is a Pidgey though. So after another half an hour, I get the Oddish to take itself out with Mankey still alive. This baits her into Pidgey, as it's super effective, and we get the most satisfying of KOs with a quick attack. And no, Hayley, you may not have a class of deserved party and far too many drinks on the SSN. It's rival time. Even with a hangover, the battle is much the same as before. We mimic Gust and two-shot Pidgeotto. Charmeleon is easily dispatched with a critical Gust, and having this physical move means Kadabra is a one-shot. We are then forced into a reset and take out the Raticate with a Hyper Fang. Hyper Fang? But Sudowoodo doesn't have any teeth. Now the Mimic. We deal with an equally as hangover captain, Grab Cut, and attack Lieutenant Surge. Due to being over-leveled, it only took a few attempts. We head in with a weak Sandshrew to bait a tackle. Annoyingly, we do receive an extra Sonic Boom due to a 95 accuracy tackle, so we then head into the Pikachu with less than half health. We bait a quick attack and in return get Paolo Lies. With priority, we take out the Pikachu in one. Raichu gets hit for half, and we avoid paralysis and double team to get our third badge. Only 3 hours after Misty. The joy lasted 5 minutes, as the first mandatory fight on the way to Rock Tunnel was Hayley, version 2. But this time, 2 Oddish and 2 Bellsprout. Mucking hell. I was tempted to go in with the Hayley strategy, but I had a better idea. On the SSN, we picked up TM44, Rest, and using Rule 2, I gave it to Deskjet as a stalling technique. We golem in and let the times 128 speed commence. We were in no danger of fainting this time, as Absorb had been replaced by Status Spores, and there was nothing for us to mimic in fact. Oddish goes down. Fortunately, she throws a Bellsprout out next, and once we awake, we mimic a Wrap and take her down in 2 shots. Oddish is out, and we take her down to half with the first Wrap. We then proceed to miss, and then miss again. Out of PP, time to hit fast forward again. This would be a great time to remind us all that the next badge is Erica, the Grass Gym. May need to put that off for a while. As we now knew Rest, we were in no danger of fainting, and after battle, which took 52 minutes and 43 seconds, that is 1.3 episodes of Lost, Oddish and then her final Bellsprout went down, and we could make our way through Rock. Are you joking? This was by far the worst Hayley iteration, as even if we got past her status-inflicting Oddish, we had to deal with Bulbasaur, who would need to mimic Razor Leaf from, and would then replenish health with Leech Seed. Instead of throwing ourselves at her and me fainting from boredom, I decide it's time to unleash the cannon. Pixma MG5205. Jigglypuff learns Mimic at 39, so we had 13 more levels to grind. I get a few of these levels with the VSC cut down by the trainers near Diglett Cave, and then decide it was much quicker and entertaining for me to leave her in the daycare and cycle up and down the underpass while I watched an episode of Lost. We get the final level outside Rock Tunnel for aesthetic purposes only. It's worth noting Pixma also learned Rest at level 29. That's useful. Evolve her with a Moonstone to get ourselves an army of Mimickers. Looking at our stats, Deskjet's awful special attack can finally be replaced with Pixma, who is 38 points higher. Pixma also makes up for her poor defense with a huge health stat. Pixma and Deskjet getting status early on is fab, as Oddish can now do nothing. After 20 minutes of switching, Oddish struggles its way down, and it's now time for Bulbasaur. We rest with Pixma, and due to her high special attack, we can take Bulbasaur out with just a few PP resets. We jump straight for our rival. We mimic a quick attack from Pidgeotto. I misclick on block, which we now have as a stalling move, and then take it out with a crit. We get Charmeleon weak and switch into Pixma, who uses a Metal Claw to take him out. Metal Claw also gets rid of Eggs in 2 shots, and then Kadabra in 1. His last Pokemon is Gyarados, who uses Thrash, a great physical mimic, and a simple 2-shot. Putting Erica off for as long as possible, we hit Game Corner Hideout. and pick up a fantastic TM, Taunt. In Gen 3, Taunt forces the opponent into an attacking move next turn, which we can then mimic. So no more silly growls or tail whips. This gets taught to Deskjet, who now has 4 legitimate moves. Fighting all possible rocket grunts for maximum experience, we get to Giovanni for the first time. He leads with an Onyx, and we start with our newly taught Taunt. We mimic a bind, and Onyx goes down the exact same as Bruno. He then throws out Kangaskhan, and Pixma gets a fantastic mimic, Mega Punch, that is a 120 damage stab move. We rest off and then take Kangaskhan in 2. Rhyhorn is out, and although he resists, we take him down to around half health. 2 more shots from there, and first time, Giovanni is down. Rolling off the high, I decide to give Erica a shot, trying to keep Deskjet as far away as possible. Usually I fight all the available trainers, but I avoid as many as possible in this gym, as spores and draining moves are hell to deal with. The first matchup is Pixma vs Victory Bell, and after mimicking Giga Drain, that is when I realised that Absorb is 4 times worse than Giga Drain. Giga Drain only has 5 PP, and due to Pixma's strong special defence, we can stall it out. I then switch into Deskjet, who is in no danger and can mimic a physical acid which does neutral damage and take her out. Unfortunately, acid runs out of PP, as I'm certain it would have been a one-shot for Tangela. So I'm forced back into Pixma, who somehow takes her out with 1 Giga Drain. It's the same strategy for Vileplume. Rest and stall out Giga Drains, then hit hard with a neutral acid. Getting power lines twice in a row made no difference, as Vileplume easily goes down. A bit of strategy, and Erica was a cakewalk, although we can really see how much of a grind it was to get here. 9 hours were added on from Lieutenant Surge. We had 2 options now to get to Fuchsia City. Cycling Road, which is full of irritating poison Pokemon, or the arduous trek to the right. We choose option C and go full guns a Blaziken into Silphco. I went in for the experience, but gave my rival a go, and it was close, so kept going, and after a few tries I got this one. We get the usual mimic of Wing Attack, and with a crit take him down in 2. Eggs comes out next, which is a 2-shot. Side note, where are Deskjet's wings? My main strategy for Alakazam was to use physical moves against him. Unfortunately, Wing Attack runs out and Pixma engaged in a stall fest with Future Sight, Defense Curl and Rest. I also noticed that Future Sight does neutral damage on Alakazam. What type is it? Can someone let me know please? This continues with Gyarados, although once we switch back we get a Dragon Rage which does 40 damage. He goes down and out comes Charizard, who outspeeds us. We manage a singular Dragon Rage before we go down. Deskjet comes out, and I purposely stay as far away from Mimic as possible, as mimicking Flamethrower would do nothing. I stall it out with Rest. I know I made the rules, but at this point I'm starting to think using Rest was cheap, although I wouldn't have been able to get past Haley's without it. Let me know what you think. Finally, Charizard starts using Wing Attack. I make sure to taunt to make the Mimic certain and get a Beautifly crit to take him out. Boss Battle 2, Nidorino uses Horn Attack, a weak move, but we Taurus Elves it nonetheless. That one's bad. He goes down with 2 shots. Nidoqueen has weak moves, so we continue using Horn Attack, and although we get poisoned, we live on a Slither. A quick rest and switch into Pixma, and we learn Double Kick. This Mimic is fantastic, as it is super effective against both his remaining Pokemon. Kangaskhan has quick work and goes down in 2. A similar story for Rhyhorn, as although he gets us to red health, he can't cope with the Double Kick. We've got to the stage now where we aren't being held up, and are just seeking big fight after big fight. I'm putting Koga off, as I know it'll be horrible, so next up is Sabrina. This was much worse than expected. Psychic Pokemon thrive in special defense, and there is nothing physical to mimic. Kadabra is a mirror image of the rival fight. Takes time, but goes down nonetheless. Mr. Mime was the problem. He would buff his stats with Barrier and Calm Mind, and then baton pass them onto Venomoth. Fortunately, being part poison, Psychic moves are super effective, so even with the Calm Minds, Venomoth's health would slowly dwindle down and we would replenish ours with Rest. Back out comes Mr. Mime. Psybeam hardly dents him, and it is the exact same as before, but worse, as it's Alakazam getting the buffed stats. Pixma is Duskull from here, so we decide to hop it, reset, and try again. I was always confident we could beat Koga, but frustration and legitimacy will come into question. It starts out with coughing, and I'm more than happy with a Sludge Mimic, as it's physical. But then the shenanigans, great Pokemon guide, start. Smokescreen, Toxic, and Potions. Out of the blue, he decides to self-destruct. Muck's 4 moves were Sludge, Toxic, Minimize, and Acid Armor, all as bad as each other. He'd up his defense with Acid Armor, so if I was lucky enough to hit his Sludge, it would barely leave a mark. Finally, after God knows how many Mimics and missed Sludges, we get him low, only for Koga to use a Hyper Potion. Ah, Bok. Not sure why he doesn't have one. It was going to have to be a stall-out struggle. After he ran out of Sludge, I kept switching between Pixma and Deskjet as there was nothing to mimic. After a duel which lasted the Season 2 premiere of Lost, Muck struggles away. Coughing Numero Dos goes much the same as before. He uses Sludge and Smokescreen for a few turns, then self-destructs. Weezing was more intelligent and we were going sludge for sludge at each other. After 3 PP resets, we finally got him low, and luckily Koga was out of potions and managed to take himself out without needing to use struggle. We now had 5 badges with just shy of 35 hours on the clock. Getting as many levels as possible before Sabrina again, we grabbed Strength and Surf from the Safari Zone and go after Blaine's Fire Pokemon. This was by far the easiest badge so far, due to his Pokemon having strong normal type moves. We disable Growly's first Fire Blast and stall with Defense Curl to allow us to mimic Takedown. This move may as well be called Ronseal, as it does exactly what it says. We take down Growlithe, Ponyta, and Rapidash in one. Unfortunately, we miss, and Arcanine takes us out with a Fire Blast. Deskjet stalls out the remaining Fire Blast and is able to mimic a takedown. We rest off just to be safe and then take him down. The 3 hours between this and the previous fight were due to us getting stuck in a fight with Vulpix, who we couldn't damage as she had Flash Fire. Pixma and Deskjet were both level 54, so we tried Sabrina again. We led in with Mankey to beta Psybeam to get Kadabra dealt with faster, and due to a crit, we take him down in 2. Not bothering to disable, we get Mr. Mime down to half before Baton passing a barrier and a Calm Mind onto Venomoth. This is where the stall starts. Checking Venomoth's moveset, it also knows Gust, a physical move. We get it low with Psybeam to use up a Hyper Potion. Psybeam runs out, so she starts using Leech Life and Gust. We mimic a Gust just for Sabrina to use another potion. We are easily able to outlast Venomoth due to switching and rest. Finally, we taunt a Gust and importantly to save on PP, take her out in one shot. Mr. Mime goes in one as well. Alakazam outspeeds us with Calm Mind as we are able to take him down to half. Psychic isn't powerful enough to take us out, so we finish him off with a Gust, just 20 minutes after Blaine. Keeping our good run of form going, we go after Giovanni for the final time. Thinking I'd fail first time, I didn't even bother with the warm-up battles here. Deskjet taunts, then blocks Rhyhorn, which gives us enough time to mimic an Earthquake. We go down to a 3rd health, then one-shot Rhyhorn. Somehow, we live on 2 health from Dugtrio and take him out. Even with a scary face, Nidoqueen is a one-shot. We couldn't sweep him, surely. Nidoking goes down. 1 Rhyhorn left, 1 Earthquake left. Gah! It couldn't have been Cloyster. We switch into Pixma, and after he uses his final 2 potions, take out the Rhyhorn with ease. Now that was the easiest gym. Just a bit gutting we didn't get the experience of the gym trainers. We get our final 3 badges in less than 40 minutes, and it's time to head to the Pokémon League. Also, in case you weren't aware, if you use the item finder where Giovanni once stood, you get the Macho Brace. Not that that's any use to us now, as we're already maxed out on EVs. First, we have our penultimate rival fight. And remember when I said rival fights were easy? That statement is no longer true. Although we are able to get a strong attacking move off Pidgeot, he constantly feather dances us to make it useless. However, with the aid of Rest, we can get past him with a wing attack. Rhyhorn has a tough defense. I switch into Deskjet with the aim to mimic Rock Blast so I can get the same type boost, and take him out in 3. As Deskjet is out, he sends out Gyarados, who cuts her attack. I hang on with 7 health and hit a super effective Rock Blast. Luck wasn't on our side though, as it only hits 3 times. With an aim to Rest later, we switch into Pixma and Hydro Pump. After a quick stall, it takes 2 Hydro Pumps to take him out. We get another 2-shot on Charizard, but run out of PP. Being fast, I get a regen with eggs, then overpower him with a not very effective Solar Beam. Alakazam Calm Mind as we take in Sunlight. He then Psychics Pixma in 1. Deskjet's poor special defense didn't stand a chance, and Psychic takes us out. Our good run was over, and it was grind time. The usual spot at the top of Cycling Road was off the table, so we went to complete the island missions. We came back with Deskjet 58 and Pixma 59. The plan was to try and leave us with a good physical move to take out Alakazam. Defeating Pidgeot with Deskjet meant Nigel would throw out Gyarados next. With the rain up, Hydro Pump does more damage and we get Gyarados low as the rain disappears. With the knowledge that Charizard was coming next, and we only had 2 Hydro Pump left, we stalled waiting for the downpour to restart. We hit Gyarados and get the suspected clean one-shot on Charizard. It was a war of attrition with Rhyhorn. We get him low, then switch back into Pixma. We stall waiting for Rhyhorn to use Ronseal Takedown. This takes longer than expected due to Pixma's great Cute Charm ability. Finally, we get our Mew move and one-shot Rhyhorn, then Eggs, and finally the dangerous Alakazam. Takedown. Does exactly what it says on the tin. Take note of our time, which will be a great indicator here of how long the grind and the completion of the Poké League takes. When we get to the Indigo Plateau, we go straight at Lorelei and realise this was going to be a slog, and we couldn't even call up Ben Stokes. Her Dugong's attacking moves were Ice Beam, which she 8 times resists, and Surf, which was 4 times better, but still appalling. We get her to half with the Surf, but then need to rest. We still not stand a chance. I estimate 5 hours of grinding to consistently get past Dugong with our 2 mimickers, and that is only the first of 26 Pokemon which we need to nose past. I estimate 5 hours of grinding to consistently get past Dugong with our 2 mimickers, and that is only the first of 26 Pokemon which we need to nose past. We need to nose pass. Not this again. Not again. I've got days of grinding ahead. Not now, Copycat. I've got days of grinding ahead now, Copycat. Now, Copycat? Now, Copycat! Yes, I may have lied. Around 100 Pokemon in Gen 3 can get Mimic as it's a move tutor. Without using an Uber Pokemon, I settle for Vaporeon. Strong HP and defenses and a killer special attack. We name him after the most environmentally friendly of printers, the Epson EcoTank ET3600. I get him to stat 37 with a mix of experience share and daycare. But forget Nigel. In order to get Mimic, we had to go face to face with the true rival. Copycat. Copycat. It was time. Cue the music. We start off in the worst possible way and head into the wrong house. Regain, regain. Forgetting about the parents, we head straight up to see her. Hi, do you like Pokemon? Uh-oh, I just asked you. Huh? You're strange. Quit mimicking. But that's my favourite hobby. Where is my Mimic? Where is my Mimic, honestly? That's 2-0 Copycat. We are in deep trouble. However, we don't give up and we don't reset. We head straight to the Celadon market and buy a Pokédoll for a steep price of $1 grand. 3-1. Going back to the right house, we taunt her with Destia into an unprecedented move. A move where she is unable to mimic. 3-all. Boom! Last minute winner. EcoTank learnt Mimic. We get the leftovers from Snorlax, as that will be EcoTank's healing method, and finish off his moveset with Protect, Acid Armor and Haze, which negates all stat changes on the field. The first job was to get EcoTank a high enough level to outspeed and overpower Dugong with Surf. Using the Macho Base, which doubles EV growth, I farmed speed EVs in the Diglett's Cave. At level 52 we try Lorelei again. Switching from Deathjet to EcoTank was perfect for baiting Surfs. Surf does great stab damage and we take our whole team out in 40 minutes! I'm not going play by play here, as we then get pummeled into the dirt by Bruno's fighting Pokemon, who are super effective against Deathjet and Pixma. You'll get the breakdown after the grind. The grind was long and arduous. The top of one island offers 4 trainers with high level 30 Pokemon. The strategy was give that experience share to Pixma or Deathjet, and using leftovers sweep the Pokemon tirelessly with EcoTank. After I rewatched the entire of Season 4, we got everyone at level 65 and it was time. Before we go in, let's take a look at our stats. Deathjet had by far the highest attack and defense, but the lowest health. Pixma was our weakest, but could attack on both fronts. EcoTank was already our best mimicker, with 100 base stats in every position. With the water absorb ability, we were able to replenish health after being hit with water moves. It's time to mimic. As promised, we start off with Deathjet and switch to EcoTank to mimic a Surf. Dugong sets up the hail and hits us with an Ice Beam, but leftovers keeps us strong. Dugong goes down with the third Surf. Out comes Cloyster, who gets smashed into red health with a Surf as spikes are scattered on our side. We are forced into a PP reset as Surf runs out of PP, although this was calculated. Cloyster's only attacking move is Dive, so taunting with Deathjet and then switching enables us to mimic. After Cloyster protects our first mimic, we get Dive and finish her off. Our first dive does little damage as Amnesia ups Slowbro's defense. Hazing away the stat boost doesn't work, as Dive is a 2-turn move. We get incredibly lucky and hit a crit which takes her down to a 1-shot and then finish her off with a dive. Lorelei continues to be a stalling mess. We hit our last dive to take Jinx to 60%, but Lovely Kiss and Attract start to test our patience. Due to our leftovers, we aren't in any danger and manage to hit a brace of ice punches before a full restore. We use all the remaining ice punches and then switch into Pixma to mimic a double slap, and after a rest we take her out. Last up was Lapras. We hit a double slap once before getting confused. We then hit again but get bad confusion and go down to Ice Beam. I protect first up as I want to mimic Body Slam over Ice Beam. Our luck gets worse with EcoTank receiving a crit sandwiched between confusion. We finally hit a Body Slam, only for Lapras to eat a berry and power lines us. We hit 2 more Body Slams in between paralysis as her Lapras switches to using Ice Beam. Finally, a battle which took just over 25 minutes, we stall out Lorelei and Lapras goes down. Bruno was tough and took many attempts. His Onix was a real pain as it would always lower our speed with Rock Tomb, so coming his second and third Pokemon would always be outsped and go down. Because of this, we had to make sure we had just over half health by the time we Earthquaked past Onix. This was the sweet spot for Hitmonchan to use the move Counter, a move which doubles the damage you receive from a physical move. We switch into our leftover EcoTank and pick it up. We counter 2 Sky Uppercuts in a row and it is time for Hitmonlee. We get hit with a Mega Kick and counter with Counter. The two reasons this battle took ages were Mega Kick missing and Machamp using Bulk Up. Luckily, we were on low enough health for Machamp to go for a cross chop, and we take him out. It was easy from here, and switching to Deskjet to mimic an Earthquake, and Onyx went down in 2 shots. I was anticipating another long battle with Agatha, but with a bit of research shot her down first time. Gengar only has one offensive move, so Deskjet uses Taunt and mimics the perfect counter. Wasn't counter this time, it was Shadow Punch. Super effective, physical, and is unavoidable, so Gengar's double teams are worthless. We use up a potion and take her down in 3. We use our final 2 Shadow Punches on Arbok and then switch into Pixma, who gets Iron Tail. One Iron Tail puts Arbok on a slither, we then miss an Iron Tail and get poisoned with Sludge Bomb in return. Now comes the bit of luck which we more than deserved. We somehow survive on 1 HP from Golbat's Poison Fang and then get a critical Iron Tail to take him out. Gengar then misses Hypnosis as we taunt and mimic a Shadow Ball. Gengar fails to put us asleep again as we take him out with a Shadow Ball. A final Shadow Ball takes out Haunter. Such a clean battles. No casualties and no rest. Our final battle before the champion was Dragon Trainer Lance, and it required a sacrifice. Pixma starts off trading Dragon Rangers with Gyarados before she gets low enough for our Hyper Beam to take us out. It's then a simple mimic and KO for Eco Tank. We sacrifice Deskjet's mobility as we can't afford Eco Tank to be paralyzed. Dragonair then locks itself into Outrage. Eco Tank mimics and then one-shots Dragonair 1 and Dragonair 2. Dragonite goes down to below half before we get confused with Fatigue. Even after a Citrus Berry, we avoid confusion and take him out with a second Outrage. Aerodactyl outspeeds us and hits an Ancient Power. We snap out of confusion and hit another Outrage. After a wing attack, we take Aerodactyl down to a Slither with Outrage 3 times due to Lance's wallet. Leftovers were a real help here. It wasn't going to be that easy though, as we are then taken out with a Hyper Beam. A Paralysis Deskjet is our last Mimicker. We lose our first chance to mimic Ancient Power before Aerodactyl hits us again and gets a boost. We scrape together a Mimic, and due to Quick Claw activating, take him out next turn. This battle took less than 5 tries. Times that by a 2-digit number, and you'll probably get the amount of times it took for the champion. No matter what I tried, I couldn't get Nigel to throw out his Pokemon in a manageable order. Due to my hard drive running out of storage, I don't have any of these failed attempts, but spoiler alert, we were successful. As I couldn't be asked to do the Elite Four again, I used up all rare candies prior to entry. The most important part was to get Eco Tank to outspeed Pidgeot, as the strategy here is glorious. Pidgeot being a weak attacker, even weaker if I had the chance to hit 3 Feather Dancers. We go in and go Aerial Ace for Aerial Ace. Attacking with Aerial Ace makes a Sand attack worthless. Nigel uses a full restore as we get Pidgeot to below half again, but this time we didn't want to take him out. Instead we wanted to mimic Whirlwind. This is why we needed Eco Tank to outspeed. Mimicking Whirlwind means Nigel has no say on the order of his Pokemon, and each time we take one out we have the chance to heal against his Pidgeot. We bait Whirlwind by defense curling with Pixma. Eco Tank gets thrown out and then we mimic and force Exile. We stall for a bit before sending Pixma out. Like Erica, the aim here was to stall out the Giga Drains and then mimic Egg Bomb. We get very lucky and manage to hit a rest on 8 HP before the eggs start raining down. We get Deskjet to mimic Egg Bomb as he both resists it and has the highest attack stat. After hitting 2 Egg Bombs between naps, Eggs runs out of PP. I use this as an opportunity to heal up all our Pokemon, and then get Deskjet to taunt struggle Eggs down. Gyarados is out next. Eco Tank hits 5 Dragon Rangers on him before dropping into red health. We needed a health boost, and got exactly that with a slight stall and then a reset as Gyarados aims a Hydro Pump at Deskjet. We mimic the stab move and finish Gyarados, and then Pidgeot. In next was the always dangerous Alakazam. We take a Psychic and one shot with Hydro Pump. Remaining was just Rhydon and Charizard. Only problem, 2 PP left with 80 accuracy Hydro Pump. We hit Rhydon in 1, Charizard aerial aces us to no avail as Hydro Pump hits and we become the mimicking champion of the world. Now that was fun. Was super scared Hydro Pump was going to miss and would be swept by Charizard, but no, classic Nigel not finishing well. Up comes Oak. I always enjoy seeing Oak lie to us and saying we left with a Bulbasaur, when we really didn't. Looking at the run, the hardest part were the 3 Haley iterations, and probably Misty and Sabrina. Oh, and the grinds early on. It taking 3 turns to mimic and take out a level 3 Pidgey for 31 XP. That took forever, not for me. But with rest and the introduction of Rule 6, we just about managed it. If anyone else is mad enough to give it a go, I'd defo try without rest. I believe it was only required for Haley 2 and 3, so it would have just been a greater grind for the middle battles, and it was only really used on Lorelei and Nigel at the end. The best part of the one was the variety of tactics then. and how we could see the AI react to certain situations, engineering specific moves based on our HP, what Pokemon is out, PP stalling, then forcing struggle, and then using moves like Taunt and Protect, and my personal favourite being the defense curling Whirlwind. If anyone else can think of a similar original run that is or isn't Pokemon specific, let me know. If not, I'd be happy to run this again in Gen 2, Hoenn, or even Gen 4, with different Pokemon of course. I'm sure I'll be able to find a randomizer that can do that for me. Anyway, you are only listening to me blabber as you want to know how long the run took. The final playtime, of course, doesn't take into account all, and there were a lot of, soft resets. We clocked at 40 hours 45 minutes before the grind, and finished on a respectable 67 hours and 54 minutes. Respectable 67.54. 67.54. I thought we defeated Copycat. We defeated Copycat. Defeated Copycat? Copycat will never be defeated.